Thanks for staying with us right here on Sunrise as we continue this morning. Now, South Africans are mourning the passing on of one of the world's greatest musicians today. Jazz musician Hugh Masekela died yesterday at the age of 78. Now, the music legend was battling prostate cancer, and we are now joined by the Minister of Arts and Culture, Nathi Mthethwa, to celebrate the life of Bra Hugh Masekela. And to remember, of course, to be part of our conversation if you'd like, you can share your thoughts with us on our Facebook as well as our Twitter pages. Now, Minister, thanks very much for joining us this morning. Now, yesterday, when you put out the message on a social media, it's almost like you chose your words specifically. You referred to Bra Hugh as a baobab tree and a one-of-a-kind musician. Who was he in the bigger scheme of things to us as a country, as a continent?
Well, on the continent, he was a colossus. I thought about, in fact, it just came rushing to my mind when I got a call from Bra Welcome, when he said, Bra Hugh is no more. Jokingly, I thought you were calling to wish me well on my birthday. What are you talking about? He says, no, it has happened. And immediately, our many conversations and interactions with him came back, reflecting, how we've been working together and his outlook. And I couldn't think of any metaphor befitting his stature than the great African baobab tree. And I was thinking that it's only now that South Africans and the world are going to be able to measure it, because it's fallen. When it was up and running, it wasn't easy to really measure, because Bra Hugh has been the epitome of what Afro jazz is all about. When people from all over the world would ask me about the genre of South African music, I said it's diverse. But I can refer you to Mambazo. I can refer you to Dorothy Masuku, Mama Africa, Bra Hugh. So you'll have a sense.
And in a way, back in the 60s when they left the country, they took bits of who we are to the world and packaged it and presented it and gave a voice to who we are as a culture, as a people. So when it comes to arts and culture, the role that artists like him, played then, and what we can sort of like learn from them in this era.
A person, well, you're correct. We are respected today all over the world because of them. But a person like Bra Hugh, it will be difficult to pigeonhole him, because this is a social, political and cultural giant. And from the point of view of culture and what his contribution, I would say that it was mostly narrating a story of a people struggling against the most evil system in the world. And this system was not going to be dealt a blow had it not because of this very quality. I sometimes think that if people who left the country around that period were not the Hughes of this world, the Gwangwas of this world, were of some inferior quality, would have been nowhere. But today, wherever you go, people will ask you about these giants. So to South Africans, it means that today and in the future, we should be proud of who we are, of who we produced in them, because it's through that other people would be struggling all over the world. If such thing has happened, somebody has departed, they will ask, but what is going to be the legacy of this person and so on. With Bra Hugh, the interesting thing is that his legacy, he experienced his own legacy whilst he was still alive, because he was able to impart his talent to younger generation, younger than him. He was at ease with his peers, younger generation and more younger. That today those younger generations are renowned and acclaimed in their own right through the very influence of Bra Hugh. So his legacy is South African artist.
So in terms of like the process from now, he's passed on. There's going to be memorial services and all of that. What happens between now and until he's buried? What do we need to? How do we mourn him as a country?
Well, it's a combination of mourning and celebrating. Mourning the fact that, as I say, that when you have this tree, which is protective, which you go under for shade, but which stand the test of time in terms of weather and everything else, you sometimes be lulled to think that you are going to have this person forever. And you realize that this was a mortal being, and therefore would depart from the planet Earth. But those who remain behind should actually ensure that more than ever before, if South Africa the whole week can play Bra Hugh's songs.
But what happens beyond? It should be not just about playing music now that he's passed on. We should be playing it before, while he's alive, playing it after, because that's what
But this is one of the distinguished. That's why I'm saying he's one of a kind, because people celebrated him once he was still alive. He knew, he experienced people celebrating him in his, face and so on. So I'm saying that celebration should continue, and even after. But for me, what is most important is the artist, the artists of South Africa who today immortalize him. He would be immortalized through them, through their work, because some of them have collaborated with him across generations, and they have a story to tell about this giant of our country. And the government also is mourning his departure, because there are still outstanding works, his programs with government, with the Department of Arts and Culture, which I don't think that because now he has passed on, they would be forgotten. They would be fulfilled exactly because he was able to put across what he thinks of anything, including of yourself, whether bad or good or bad. But he wrote his letter whilst he was still alive, and seated here, I know exactly what worried him, what made him tick, which affect us as government.